weekend on the championship calendar. Jambo, welcome to Safari Rally Kenya. We are really excited to get this one underway. I'm sure you are around the world waiting to see the images of this beautiful country and one of the most challenging WRC events that we have. Our championship leaders, Elvin Evans and Scott Martin, are ready to go for the first run of Shakedown out at Sleeping Warrior. I'm Bex Williams, ready to talk you through it. So is Chenny alongside me. We're ready to go in Safari.
Straight away, look at that, Bex. Instantly into this, you're into the ruts and the bumps. Look at that, rocks. And the thing about this stage, so often we say in commentary during Shakedown, it's not really representative of the rally. This actually is this stage, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
And we've seen lots of rain in the last few days, which has made the recce incredibly challenging. And I suspect the rally as well, the road very, very soft. There's nothing like this.
No, there isn't. And that's what we love about it. There is nothing like this event on the championship calendar. We're out to the west of Naivasha right now, about 43 kilometers to the west in the Sleeping Warrior territory. New Shakedown for everyone this year. And the organisers have mixed it up a little bit as well this year, just to make it tougher. You mentioned the weather. We've had a decent amount of rain in the past few days. We've got 2 new stages this year. 4 stages are reversed from what we've seen previously. So this will keep everybody fresh, Chenny.
Yeah, absolutely. And it keeps everyone on their toes. If you come into a rally and you've done the same thing for the last few years, you know, off by heart, whereas this just keeps the drivers tested. Just listen to Scotty.
Flat left long, don't hit the crest, 50. 3 left, clip 50. Late 3 left of a jump, 30. Late 3 left plus long, don't keep 3 right sharp over crest. 3 left long, just trim 40 brakes. Late 6 right sharp, heavy over crest. Keep into 4 right plus.
This is a rally that's only been won by Toyota since we returned in 2021. Ogier, Kalerov and Pera sharing the spoils 2 apiece. Just goes to show how strong the Toyotas are here. This is a rally that if there's any weakness in the car at all, this place will find it.
Absolutely it will.
And it shows that the strength of the Toyota is...
That's the Sleeping Warrior mounted in the background there, just keeping a watching brief over our cars. The fans have spoken already, Chenny, and Kalerov is favourite to win here. He won, of course, last year.
5 right plus, very long, 30 cross.
See Elvin just taking those cuts there. If you don't need to make the corner any longer than it needs to be, you don't do it. Take the fastest route. So at the start of the stage it was very wet. Now you can see it's very dusty. The car was grounding out a little bit and you get all that they call it like fesh. It just comes up and very, very, very fine sand. It's like a powder and it gets into everything. It gets into the electronics of the car. It gets, obviously, the reason we're running the snorkel as well, and the drivers, the teams can choose when they want to run the snorkel. Just because on the car doesn't necessarily mean they're using it. But you'll see air filters, they'll be going through air filters like there's no tomorrow this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know, one thing about the Safari Rally for me, which I really enjoy, and it's the element of the fact that it's not about being the fastest man out there. You have to use your brain. You have to know when you can push fesh right here. You were just talking about how much of it's just come over the car.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's not the fastest, it'll be the driver that's been the smartest, that's the most patient. Look at those big ruts, and has looked after the car. You've got to be patient, you've got to get everything right. And if you attack every single stage flat out, you ain't going to make it to the finish, you'll break something. Look at that big drop off.
Huge challenges then lie in store for the drivers throughout the weekend. It kicks off properly tomorrow with 2 stages after the ceremonial start in Nairobi. And there could be more rain throughout today and tomorrow and Friday. It's all in the mix of the forecast. But whether it will fall on the stages is another question. So there we go then. That's the Sleeping Warrior Mountain just in the background here as we watch our cars come through. Kalerov and Pera, you know, winner here last year, knows how to put it on the top step of the podium. Certainly in Safari, he's looking for a good result now. after Monty in Sweden.
Yeah, I think he needs one, doesn't he? But he's not phased. He's just, I think, Monte Carlo as we ride back on board with Elvin Evans. Monte Carlo, Calais was just, you know, he was just driving with caution. He was just driving with what he had underneath him, just bagging what points he knew he could get. But once we get back onto gravel, I don't actually necessarily include this rally in it because it's so unique. Monty's so unique. Sweden, Kenya, they're such unique rallies, exactly. You know, but I think once we get onto the more traditional gravel rallies, you know, Calais will properly come into his own again.
First taste of Africa 2025.
Ja, den får du sina reporter köra framåt det stilleste som i Sochi.
A bit of Welsh there from Elvin. And Julian Porter at the stage end for us, chatting away to the drivers.
Attention, sommet de 3 sur 30, droite 40 plus placard de fixe, sur 30 droite 40 plus placard de fixe. Sur gauche et pilon, pour sommet de jump avant 120. Gauche et corde, sur droite et pilon pour ferme léger, pour gauche 60 plus rasé, ferme très droit placard de gauche 70, droite 40 tourne ferme, droite 40 tourne ferme. Pour gauche 40 corde, tenir sable en sommet.
You mentioned it earlier, the fact that Toyota have done so well here since we have come back, obviously, to Kenya. Hyundai are looking to spoil that party. They would dearly love to get a win on this event, as would any team, of course. But it has been dominated by Toyota over the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Toyota have, they're synonymous with reliability, aren't they? And like I said, Kenya is one of those rallies that if the car's reliable, if you can get it to the finish, then you're going to be there or thereabouts, and certainly that's what Toyota have done. But Hyundai have been making strides forward both in performance and reliability, so I think this year is going to be closer than ever. I certainly think Hyundai have closed the gap to Toyota, haven't they? That's why you know, we've got such a brilliant battle on our hands in the championship, I think, this year.
I think from the fan vote out there, it was Oitanak who was actually second favourite to take victory. Yeah, Calais with 32% of the vote, Oitanak with 23% of the vote. And we've certainly seen some incredibly fast pace from him on Safari. It's just he's come across some situations where he's had bad luck, as Thierry Neuville as well.
Yeah,
there's been many drivers who, you know, how many times have we seen people fixing suspension at the side of the roads or windscreens misting up when the rain falls? Let's cross out to Rovanperä.
Got a shakedown in Kenya. What's it like out there?
Yeah, it's nice to be here in Kenya. Unfortunately, you guys don't hear from me so much this weekend, but yeah, if that's the case, what we need to do to make a difference, we will do it.
Yeah, that is Calais Rovanperä just alluding to the fact, which we kind of suspected, that we're not going to hear too much from the drivers, and that is due to obviously a fine that was picked up by Adrian Formeau just after Sweden. Drivers all collaborated together, and they are not going to risk anything this weekend, and I don't think we're going to be hearing too much from them. Let's give you some times from Shakedown. Then Elvin was a 440.8. You can see Rovanperä's 434.5 was fastest.
Those flashing lights again are unique to Rally Kenya. The idea is that it frightens away or just deters any animals that are around running out.
how rutted it is there in the stage.
It's so soft, and we're going to see a lot of that throughout the weekend. And like I said, the start of this stage is wet and quite muddy, isn't it? It's quite clayey. And then you get to the other part of the stage where obviously the rain hasn't fallen. It's so localised, the weather here in Kenya. And you just get this super fine sand. And said the snorkels, the reason it's there is to allow the air to the engine to breathe from up high. If it's breathing from down low, where it traditionally breathes from, it's just sucking sand and powder and everything into the air intake. So if it's breathing from a little bit higher, there is a minor performance difference, but you'd rather that than be sucking a load of that muck into the combustion chamber.
I mean, you can see just from the shakedown, which obviously, you know, Sleeping Warrior and the roads around here, certainly the drivers have had experience of. Well, what a challenge the entire weekend is going to be. If you've never experienced the Safari Rally, just watching it every single stage, we're on the edge of our seats, just wondering what is going to happen next.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. And like you mentioned before, you get these rogue rocks that appear out of nowhere. You've got nowhere you can go. You just hit it, that's your rally done.
Yeah.
And like I said, if there's any kind of weakness in the car, this place will find it, and in the driver as well. You can't. So the fan vote with Kalle Rovanperä, yeah, I would probably agree with that, but it's one of those rallies you can't guess. Anyone could win this rally. Anybody could win this rally.
That was just some shots there of Elfyn Evans at remote shakedown service, which is very close to the stage end. On board now with Takamoto Katsuta, Aaron Johnston. Taka celebrating his 32nd birthday earlier this week. And a man who likes to put the car on the podium here in Kenya. He's had some brilliant results at this rally over the years. I know how close Taka came to being on the top step of the podium in Sweden just a few weeks ago. That insane battle with his teammate Elfyn Evans, which was brilliant to watch. Let's cross out to hear from Thierry.
Jump 24 right, plus sharp
Terry, I get so excited about the Safari spec car, snorkel, flashing lights and everything. What's that adventure like out there?
Ouais, je pense que vous avez déjà dû apprendre la chose. Il y aura très peu de communication de notre part ici ce week-end, malheureusement. On est déçus qu'il n'y a pas eu plus de communication entre la FIA et nous, entre la Suède ici, suite aux incidents avec Adrien et cette nouvelle règle qui nous plaît pas aujourd'hui, dans le sens où, voilà, je pense qu'on n'a jamais rien fait de mal, on n'est pas des gars qui insultent des gens, etc., et qu'on n'utilise peut-être pas toujours les bons mots quand on a des situations où on est sous stress et sous pression. Mais voilà, donc à l'unanimité, on a décidé de ne pas communiquer les arrivées des spéciales ou uniquement dans la langue de chacun pour donner un peu de feedback. On est évidemment déçus pour les spectateurs aussi, qui méritaient d'avoir plus de feedback, mais je suis sûr qu'ils sont de notre côté ce week-end et qu'ils nous s'en tiennent dans notre action.
I can't give you an absolute full translation of what he said, but it is in with regard to why the drivers are not going to be speaking this weekend. He referenced Adrian Formeau there and the FIA. If someone can help me out with a complete full translation, that would be great, but he's hoping that, you know, the fact that they're not speaking at the stage ends, that it will be heard by the powers that be this weekend. And this is what I think we will hear from. We will hear sometimes from them in their mother tongue. Sometimes we will not hear from the drivers at all. Let's see how it goes this weekend. Back with Taka now.
Saw earlier on in the stage just how important it is to listen to your pace notes. Taka was very, very close to turning right where the road naturally went. His pace notes took him left through a little chicane. Your eye would naturally have taken you to the right. Again, one of the extra challenges in Kenya, particularly when you're sort of out in the plains. Right here is very obvious where you're going, but you've just got to constantly listen to the notes.
Right, 22 right, sharp, left. 5 left sharp.
It's another factor, isn't it? It's the reference points, especially when you're out in the wide open plains.
Yeah, there aren't any really, and you've just got to, and particularly when the conditions are changing as well, as more and more cars pass through, the road surface, if you can call it a road, changes enormously as well. So again, it's about being patient, driving smart, using your brain, and but you've really got to listen to your pace notes and get the recce right. And the thing is, Bex, with all of that rain during the recce, when they get to the stages, if it doesn't rain, if it stays dry, the road will be completely different, and that will change the pace of the notes and everything else. So I think we're set for a really spectacular Safari Rally, Kenya.
Yeah, but as every year, and I think this year even more with the rains that have calmed the conditions, as you mentioned, it's going to be certainly class in terms of competition out there. Let's cross out now then and hear what Oitanak had to say.
All right, Shakedown in Kenya. Sometimes Shakedown is representative to the rally, but does this give you a good feel for it?
Yeah, I believe, unfortunately, yeah, this time we need to go a bit different. I believe the first drivers explained the situation, so yeah. Like you can see already here, the adrenaline can be quite high end of the stage, so yeah, unfortunately, regarding the latest actions, yeah, we can't give any end of stage comments, you know, until it's again comfortable for the drivers, so that's the way it is at the moment. So hopefully the solution comes soon and we can go back to normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Oitanak just putting it as it is there.
Fair play. It was a nice way of putting it as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, they'd like a solution. We'd like to hear them talk again, as would, you know, the fans out there, but we get it. Adrian Fourmeau just that open section at the moment. We saw again in Sweden, Chen, you know, a brilliant performance from him. The highs and lows of rallying all within one event for Fourmeau, because we saw incredible pace and then obviously a snowbank incident which really did destroy the rally for him.
Yeah, it was that helmet not being done up where things really started to come undone for Adrian. And then he was on the back foot, pushing really hard. His rhythm changed and he ended up in a snowbank. So often that's the case, you know, when you change your rhythm, when something happens, you change your rhythm, you make a mistake. And it went from, as you said, the highs going really well to not ending well for him. But the good thing was the pace was phenomenal.
Taka, before the rally, went on a proper general safari, nice safari crash helmet. How are you feeling about it?
That's fine. Taka just heading off. There is the Shakedown service, which isn't far away for the drivers, because it's a good 43, 44 kilometers away from main service where they're out at today. It's Fourmeau through with the third fastest time, 4:36.7 for Adrian.
I think we'll see the gaps between the cars during the weekend be quite big as well, Bex. You know, so if on stage one you see there's a 10-15 second gap to the car, it's a second or third place or whatever, I don't think we should read too much into that as well, because on the next stage it'll go the other way, so there'll be lots of sort of flip-flopping throughout the weekend.
We've certainly seen that in the past. Josh McAlean now into the stage.
Bats in the fire for Josh and Owen this weekend, their first time here at Safari Rally Kenya. They had some, they had a couple of moments during the recce as well. They managed to bend a steering arm on the recce car and a few other bits of all the things that you do when you come to Kenya for the first time. And this is going to be a very unique experience for Josh and Owen this weekend. It's a very different kind of rallying than anything that they've been used to before.
Okay, let's cross out to Adrian Fourmeau.
Adrian, you enjoyed a bit of fun before the rally started. Now it's the serious business. What's going on? How is it feeling?
Yeah, just as we thought. No words from Adrian Formo. I have got a full translation of what Thierry said, rather than my basic translation earlier, let me tell you. Thierry said, I believe you already know there'll be little to no communication from us this weekend, and everyone will do it in their own language. We are sorry there has been no more communication between the FIA and us. We're not the kind of people who insult and offend others. We feel sorry for the fans, but we've taken this decision all together.
Square left, I just round just in the third square right, left.
You mentioned Josh having a few little incidents out on the recce, and that's, or even on the test, and that's where you want it.
Yep.
But you have to be, I mean, for Josh, you know, the big step up to Rally 1, it's a brand new car for him. If things go wrong, he needs to be well aware of, you know, on a brand new car, how to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the drivers before any year at the start of a rally, they go and spend a lot of time with the teams at the factory and basically understand how to rebuild the car, how to, if there's any damage, what they've got to do in order to repair it. So it's not just a case of turn up, get in it and drive it. It's they need to understand exactly how it's bolted together. And again, that's part of the unique thing of rallying is you're not just a driver, you quickly become a mechanic as well. So Josh has spent a lot of time with M Sport, working out exactly how that Puma is bolted up.
Yep.
Good job.
We talked about Monty being a baptism of fire. I think probably this is going to be
Big time.
a little bit more than that.
It's like I said, it's like no other rally.
Yeah.
You know, it's like no other rally. You go to Sweden, you know what you're getting. You're getting snow, you're getting ice. Here, you're getting all sorts of different stuff thrown at you. It's like nothing else. It's more rally raid than rallying, you know. This is the closest that we get to a rally raid event. And I think showing how good and strong these cars are in these conditions is a brilliant way to showcase for the manufacturers the strength in the cars, and a brilliant way for them to bring their products to the table.
You can just see here with Sami Pyri, who's also experiencing it all for the first time here. How many rocks have been brought out with you know, just the number of cars we've had through so far.
Yeah, they just get pulled out from either from the side of the road, or they're buried, and then they just get ripped up. We've seen Uit Tanak and Thierry Neuville come a cropper in the past with just rogue rocks just in the middle of the line that just get pulled out, or as I said, just dug up. You arrive at a corner at 120 kilometers an hour and you see that in the middle of the road, there's nowhere you can go. Dust coming into the car.
Quite a bit, isn't there? His eyes are really kind of drawing then, because there's a lot of dust around in that car.
Just getting sucked in. It'll be probably the vent, probably on the roof. Or maybe coming in through the flap in the window. Could you imagine, again, unique to Kenya? If you go off the road, we've seen it in the past where, I don't know, you pull the rear boot lid off the car, or you damage a wing and it creates a hole in the car. If you're on a big rock in the middle,
huge rock there.
If you're in on a tarmac rally, for example, you'll get away with that. You might get cold, that's it. Here, the car will fill with dust, so it's another thing you've got to be really cautious of. The drivers will all have goggles with them in the car. In the event that does happen, at least they can try and protect their eyes. But again, one of the unique challenges of Rally Kenya.
.4 seconds off the pace right to the front then for Sami Pyri. Got Gregoire Munster, Jordan Sardarides to come through. Cloudy skies here at Safari Rally Kenya. We've had quite a bit of rain in the past few days. you know, the comments from the drivers certainly have been, from the ones who've been here since it's come back onto the calendar in 2021, that it is definitely the toughest year this year in terms of the conditions out on the stages, the conditions they faced on the recce.
So rough on the co-drivers as well. You know, they're looking down, reading the notes and getting thrown around all over the place. You come back to what you're saying about those lines, you'll see the cars, the ride height will be as high as they can possibly get it. Everything will be just jacked up as high as they can get the car. And again, that comes with, they have to do it to protect the car, to protect them. Otherwise, the rocks just would damage the car too much. But that comes with, again, with a performance disadvantage, but they've got no choice. Everything's right up as high as it can be.
Gauche 50 dévers et pas corde. 50 dévers, pas corde. 60 mètres. Gauche 27, moins. Qui plonge fort, 20 mètres. T'es droite, 30 dur corde. 27, moins. Qui plonge fort, 20 mètres. T'es droite, 30 dur corde.
It's such a fine line between driving the car fast and protecting it. And on a rally like this, you really, every driver in the back of their mind has to look after the car. You've got to, because otherwise, something will give on a rally like this.
Yeah, it's punishing. Every single stage is punishing, and you know, it's the variety of surfaces that we have as well. You know, there'll be some smoother stuff, the fesh, which, as you mentioned earlier, gets everywhere. Then you get the really rocky stuff. Such an incredible mixture. Again, huge rock in the line. We saw that with Sami Pyrie earlier. And sometimes they're just unavoidable. We've seen plenty of drivers fixing suspension at the side of the roads over the years, desperately trying to get back to service. Add a bit of rain into that. Spicy.
It gets really slippy when it rains here as well. The mud just becomes so slick. You can't get the car stopped, and then if you're lucky, you don't hit anything and you end up on the grass. And again, there's no grip on there either. So I'd actually quite like to see a little bit of rain this weekend. I think it'll really mix things up.
Right in the middle of the pack with that time, then that's Gregoire Munster. Jordan Soderides back for a slice of Kenyan action. The amount of photographers that are here just at this point to try and capture the car against that beautiful mountain backdrop of the Sleeping Warrior.
Just running a little bit wide there for Jordan. This is definitely one of those stages where you'd want the car to be breathing, drawing in air through the snorkel, because if it's drawing in air through the air filter, that's just going to block up in absolutely no time at all. Look how busy Jordan is. Just left, right between the hedgerows.
Switch out to WRC2 now. Obviously, we saw Oliver Solberg on the top step of his home event, Rally Sweden, just a couple of weeks ago. He's level at the top of the standings with Johan Rossell. They've had a win apiece so far. It was a great battle with Solberg and Greensmith last year at this event, and I'm sure that will come back into its own as well. We've got Gus Greensmith. This is
his first point scoring event.
First point scoring event.
Yeah. I'm sure Gus will go really well this weekend. He absolutely loves this place.
It's difficult not to, though, isn't it? You know, as a driver, you come here and you know, some of them after the wreck, you were like, the noises and the breathing out. But this is the ultimate challenge.
It's a massive challenge. It's very difficult for drivers to get into any sort of rhythm or flow. You can see, even in this stage, Bex, it's not necessarily fast, is it? It's very bitty. And certainly the second half of this stage, getting into a flow is quite difficult. There are a few stages which are quite fast and flowing, but a lot of the time you're just on your toes all the time. Big sideways.
Yeah, very much.
Over there. And again, there is run wide there. Correct. That is
Absolutely
Solberg.
is.
Yeah, nailed it.
It's been a busy few weeks for him. Been competing in Australia, now here. And desperately wanting to take a Safari win, as they all do. But then we've got, you know, a pretty good lineup within WRC2. Got Kaito Kaitanovic as part of it all, who has won here at Safari in this category twice previous. Gus, who was the winner last year.
And Kaito's a great example of what we were talking about. We'll use this word a lot over the weekend. Patience, being patient, you know, letting the stages come to you, not overdriving the car, you know, and that's exactly the approach he's taken, and he's always gone well here, isn't he? So I think he's getting caught in his own dust there as well. We'll see that throughout the weekend too. Yeah,
I remember last year because he was third last year, wasn't he? And we were constantly asking him, you know, are you going to try and get into this fight with Solberg and Greensmith? And he was like, no. Yeah. They're crazy guys.
Just let them at it. Do what you can get. Just be patient. And if he had tried to do that, chances are he wouldn't have finished the rally third. He'd have broken something and he'd have gone off the road. So
that's right.
And that's the approach you have to take to this event.
I think it'd be really interesting to see what drivers like Faz Aldebar, who we're on board with right now, Diego Dominguez, Jan Solins bring to the party.
It's going to be a really tough weekend as well. We talk about the cars for the WRC2 competitors. With the Rally 1 cars going through, they'll start to rut up the road a little bit, but they'll also dig out those big rocks as well. So as the Rally 2, the WRC2 competitors come through, they can expect the road conditions to be quite bad, where the Rally 1 cars have churned the road up ahead of them. So again, all part of the challenge, and it's easier to damage one of these cars than it is a Rally 1 car. So I think the more cars that go through, the later you're running, the more of a disadvantage you're at.
Oliver Solberg then with a 4:48.6 through there. The first of our Rally 2 cars to come through. On board then with Faz Aldebar. Yeah, we can't forget in WRC2 as well, the local stars here. Karan Patel, Carl Tundo, who's won this event outright. Was it 5 times? You know, their local knowledge and prowess is just quite incredible. Their ability to maybe forecast where the rain's going to fall as well. Yeah. You definitely want to be speaking to those boys.
Yeah, for sure. You say that, having that local advantage makes all the difference. Again, that's what we're talking about with the pace notes. You've really got to listen to your notes. The road was naturally going left, and I'm not sure entirely convinced that Fal got that right, but regardless, very, very easy to get lost in those situations.
And that's another thing. Jone Houtanen posted on his Instagram account, you know, last night he was sitting down to rewrite his pace notes after the recce. Yeah. And, you know, it's a huge job that they've got. For example, the first stage tomorrow is over 30 Ks. He's got over 40 pages of notes for that he has to painstakingly rewrite.
Yeah. I think stage 3 and 7 is 41 pages of notes.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of reading.
It's a lot
of detail.
It is a lot of detail, but also, you know, as you mentioned, getting the recce right as much as you can, because it is so important to hang on every single word here.
Brake miles to the crest, twin, sharp right, 3 left, 30. Stop, sharp, 4 right, 20, sharp, 1 right through gate. 60, fast, left to the crest. Stop 30, sharp 4 left, minus through
I heard Jonas Anderson there just saying fesh. So we've gone from the wet stuff on to we're going to be arriving at the super soft powder.
Sharp 3 right, minus.
Getting again, as the surface changes and everything else is all written into the notes.
Sharp.
See Fow again having to go around that rock. The Rally 1 cars were going over it. They weren't hitting it with the wheel, but they were comfortable to go over it with the height. Fow just choosing to go around it. It was right on the line as well.
Derecha 4 menos, con su izquierda 5 larga. Con su izquierda 5 larga, 40.
It's incredible how these cars can take this punishment. You know, not just for this one stage, but for an entire weekend. It's like this for the entire weekend. In fact, it gets tougher than this.
384 kilometres this year of battering that these cars are going to take.
And a battering is the right word. And the thing is as well, Bex, at the end of the weekend, they go back to the factory. Everything gets taken off them. There's a complete rebuild, and they look for cracks, and they will find cracks. You know, cracks in the chassis of the car. There'll be cracks all over the place. Then there'll be, the welder will be out probably throughout the weekend, to be honest. But you know, you've got to crack check everything. It's brutal.
Yeah.
One left exit. 30.
Gus did a brilliant job last year here in Kenya. He was battling against the elements and his own elements because he was really unwell. He had some kind of sickness bug. And honestly, he looked awful every single stage end he got to.
He looked worse than normal, didn't he?
Oh my god, he was like grey. We were like, are you all right, chap? He's like, ah, you know, adrenaline kicks in when I'm behind the wheel, it's fine. But as soon as the adrenaline had gone, that's when he he looked awful. So he managed to really wrestle the car through to that top step of the podium last year.
Yeah, it took a lot of determination. There was at one point he was going to stop. But no, he did really well, and he was very poorly. Hopefully none of that this weekend. And I really hope Gus has a good weekend as well, because not just for his championship, but for us as fans, because there's no reason why Gus shouldn't be fighting at the front, shouldn't be taking to the likes of Oliver Solberg, Johan Rossell, and the more people we've got fighting at the front, the better it is for us as well, Bex. So
of course.
I hope that Gus is able to string together a good result this weekend, get his championship off to a strong start.
Jan Solen's now underway. If you are just joining the Shakedown coverage this morning, welcome along. The action gets underway tomorrow for us with 2 stages. Ceremony will start first in Nairobi, then a stage in Nairobi, followed by a stage close to Naivasha.
Caution, sharp to left minus over crest. Into sharp to right. Left over 70, stop sharp by right minus. Into 2 left and tighten flat camber. Then turn wide sharp 3 left minus. Over finish. Correct.
Didn't quite hear that. That's Greensmith then 4.4 seconds away from Solberg's time through run 1 of Shakedown. For the drivers who are discovering Safari Rally for the first time, it must be such an incredible feeling, because you watch it on the TV, you see the coverage, but it's nothing like feeling that rattle in the car where you're constantly being shaken around as much as you are and really having to use your brain to navigate this landscape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't even imagine it.
The cameras aren't really indicative of what it's like in the car. You lose a lot through the lens, don't you? And of just how rough it is out there. And as I said, there's lots of things that are unique about this event. The snorkel, the fact that we're running the car as high as possible to try and protect the underside of it. It would break in no time, so there's lots of things about this event, not just from a driving point of view, from a driving style point of view, but from the team point of view, from the way the car is set up, everything that's unique to Safari Rally Kenya.
Yeah, because back in the day, Chenny, there was a safari car, but now it is just the normal cars with a snorkel. The ride height is elevated, and that's about it. But these are the cars that you see on the other events.
Yeah, correct. And you do, you know, back in the, as you said, back in the day, the car was more protected. You know, you had a specific Safari Rally car. We're going back to the 90s and so on. But
early 2000s.
Yeah, exactly. Now this is the same car that you're running Rally Monte Carlo, Sweden. You're just adapting it to make it work in this environment, and that's why it's so impressive. And that's how good these cars are, how well they are built, that you can adapt them to run, to be, you know, running with a super low ride height, in tarmac specs, super stiff. They're like a racing car, and they're able to change it into what we see here, which is, you know, able to drive and take this absolutely bruising stage. I mean, Rally Kenya is just trying to break the car all the time, and it's incredible what the teams can have achieved with the cars.
First start for the season then for Jan Solons, and what a start to make Safari Rally your first of the year. Welcome back to Behind the Wheel.
See the bottom of the screen there. Do you see the bottom of the splitter had all gone, been pulled off? And that's where the front of the car's bottomed out. It's ground down. It's just pulled it clean off the car.
The patient man, as you described him earlier. Kaito Kautanovic knows how to deal with the Safari Rally stages, that is for sure. But you know, for Kaito and for Oliver Solberg, they're doing it in a different car this year.
Yeah, Kaito obviously in the Toyota. We've previously seen him in the Skodas, haven't we? And Kaito opting to jump into the Toyota. I think the car looks great. He's got to learn how to make that car work for him. It'll be set up slightly differently. He's been around long enough. He'll have that car dialed in pretty quickly, and there's so much experience with other teams and from Toyota themselves that will be able to guide him and give him a base setup of where he needs to be. See the way the car dropped into the rut there and stopped. The rut was like a wall. It just stopped the car, and then he lost all momentum and had to get going again. And this is what I mean by, as more and more cars pass through, the road conditions deteriorate, and it becomes not just harder to drive, but much harder on the cars because it gets rougher.
Ovvero con degli 4 más acaba lomo frenando con izquierda 5 corta 40 5 corta 40 frenar derecha 5 más rápida sale frenando 20 derecha 7 cada vuelta to jeden prawy ciasny przechodzi 2 prawy krótki do 2 lewy ciasny długi do hamuje od szczytu 2 prawy ciasny 30 2 lewy piach.
Kaito just choosing to go around that rock again. You've got to just tiptoe, pick your way through.
It really is that.
The trick to this rally is just being at the end, because I can guarantee that your competitors around you will run into problems, and you capitalise on that, and that is a surefire strategy for Safari Rally Kenya to at least pick up reasonable points.
Should you have a crack at it next year then?
No. You can pay for it.
There's
Who's driving, who's co-driving?
Naturally, I'm the brains of the operation, so I'm the co-driver.
I mean, there's no way I was getting in it if you were driving, but I'm still not convinced we'll make it down to the start of Shakedown with you co-driving, Bexy. I've seen you reading the map upside down, looking confused.
You're really bigging up your driving skills here, aren't you? If you think you can even get us to the start of Shakedown. Anyway, Kaito's managed to get to the end of Shakedown. I think I'd rather jump in the car with him. English notes would be fine for him. Now, Diego Dominguez was here last year. Diego was really racking up the mileage last year in terms of the rallies he was doing. Super successful year for him in 2024. Not at this event, though. He's back to right the wrong of Safari Rally 2024.
The work he's having to put in behind the steering wheel, Bex. Constantly at it, trying to keep the car under control. It's a great stage, this, for Shakedown, because it's, you know, it's over 5 kilometres, so, you know, it is a proper test, and again, it's a proper stage. It's not, you know, it's not, we have seen Shakedown stages in the past, and we have sort of gone on other rallies. This isn't really a stage. We're not learning anything here, but this is a good stage to for the teams and drivers to learn something from, for us to watch. It gives us an idea of what we'll be in for as well.
Yeah, they've got all the elements in this 5 kilometre stage that we'll see throughout the rally. But right now we've got dry conditions. We could see rain on Friday. That is within the forecast. You could see rain on any day, whether you look at the forecast or not. It could just happen. We seem to always be chasing the rain showers here in Kenya every year we come. Is it going to rain? Is it not going to rain? It does make a huge difference if you are a car on the stage at the time when it rains, because it can be such a torrential downpour. It can change the surface so much, it just becomes like ice.
Yeah, we've seen it in the past, haven't we?
Yeah, completely.
Like, the first 2 cars have gone through the stage, and it's not rained. Then the rain's arrived, and everybody else has been a minute slower. You know, and again, you can get caught out with that respect. That rain arrives for the cars coming later, and they're all in trouble, big trouble. And that can completely turn the rally on its head too. So I hope that doesn't happen, because that splits the field up instantly. It's nice if everyone's got the same conditions. But here in particular, if you get through the stage and it was dry, and then the rain comes for those behind, then you have got a massive advantage.
Diego Dominguez completes his run of Shakedown, and that is it pretty much for our coverage of the cars making their way through run 1 of Shakedown here at Safari Rally. We await, of course, the action, which will be getting underway tomorrow. Kalle Rovanperä was fastest through on run 1. 4:34.5 was the time. Then Tanak was 1.9 behind. Then it was Formeau, Neuville, Munster, Evans and Katsuta. Strong run from Oliver Solberg with Josh McAlean and Sami Pyrie to complete the top 10. And then we have Gus Greensmith, Solon, Zaldivar, Dominguez, Soderidis and Kaitanovic. 16 drivers through then. Let's cross out now then and catch up with Kiri.
Remote shakedown service. Thanks so much, Bex and Chenny there. Yeah, they are going going to continue their runs through. Make sure you join us because the action and the adventure awaits for the weekend. This is going to be one wild and bumpy ride. So we will be with you tomorrow morning at about 10:45. Ceremonial start down in Nairobi, and then of course 2 stages to get things off and running at 1 p.m. and 4:43. That is of course local to us here in Kenya. Well, as I said, the adventure begins, so make sure you're with us throughout what is going to be an absolutely epic weekend. We'll see you soon.